not only that, you're a T-Rex when you have to talk to NPCs. So when it's quest time, you got to go,
Yeah.
hey, man, I wanna just... You have to go nuts to butts if you want to talk to the guy.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the podcast, a show dedicated to talking about all the progress things in life, like music, content creation, and video games. I'm one of your co-hosts, JesseKazam.
And I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm gonna... For the first time ever, dude, I'm going to say some things I think are going to upset some people.
For the first time ever.
We're really going to mix it up today. I'm going to say some shit.
Shoot. Normally,
I'm going to share my opinion.
I'm out here. Yeah. Pissing people off. Oh, yeah, shoot.
So, okay. So I want to preface all of this with...
oh, God.
If I don't detail all of the things about the next topic I'm going to bring up that frustrate, annoy me, or I want to be critical of, right? If I don't bring up all the little details, then people are going to think I'm overreacting. They won't get a sense for why you can disagree.
Yes. Okay.
But you know, if I were to say this thing bothered me, and therefore, you know, here's my opinion. Yeah. And everyone would say, that's it. Wow. Right. If I give 300 reasons, then it's going to be, oh, well, you know, you're just complaining about every
Yeah. You're trying to present the opinion in a way that's not like, here's a rash opinion. You're like, here's my opinion. Here are all the things that back it up. If you're like, hey, none of those things bother me or XYZ, like, that's fine. It's just, you're not having a reactionary opinion. You're having a real one, like a one that you've put together.
Yeah, and I think I can. This is a conversation that it's already been challenging having this conversation and having people not be offended. Yeah, that I don't like a thing that they like. Yeah. You shouldn't take offense. To that. So just keep that in mind as we go through some of these things, that you don't have to take it personally if I disagree with you about, and I'm not saying you, I'm talking to the audience. You know, if I disagree with you about certain things, or if I have different preferences or whatever, just keep that in mind. We can still be friends and have different opinions about, bands or movies or video games.
Potentially podcast ending what you're about to say.
So I'll just come out and say right at the beginning, because now that we've been fucking dancing around it, in almost every way, Stalker 2 is Starfield.
Damn.
In almost every single way.
That's crazy.
And in many ways, it's worse, actually. Like it has all of the same problems, and actually has.
Oh my God, I'm out.
A lot of the things that Starfield had, but was shitty, and Stalker doesn't even have. So,
damn.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. I've got a big.
I was going to say I completely disagree, but I never played one single second of Starfield.
Yeah.
But I do love Stalker, my playthrough so far. But I was going to say but I can't even. I don't know. Maybe I would have loved Starfield.
See, so here's the thing. We talk about the subjective and objective stuff,
of course,
all the time, right? A lot of people played the Stalker games before. Yeah. And they have the nostalgia, the love of the lore and the universe and the world, right? Like, I would eat up any new Ocarina of Time, Zelda, even if it was shitty, I would still play it and want to defend it. Yeah. Even if it wasn't as good as, for sure, Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask. Yeah. Because I just want to run around as Link and I want to fight Ganon again. So there's that. I think that's an aspect of what a lot of people are feeling about the game. Yeah. And then a lot of people love the kind of dopamine drip that comes from running, shooting a thing, opening their stash, clicking and dragging the stuff over, that whole loop. And that completely fine. If you like that, I don't dislike it. I'm just kind of over that aspect.
For sure.
So now those things are their subjective preferences.
Of course.
You know, coupled with experiences that I, as someone who never played Stalker, don't have. So this is the perspective of somebody
jumping in for the first time.
Yeah, who's a lot of things, but also I don't have any background in Stalker. I don't know basically what anything is, who anyone is, where, what anything, you know, I don't know all the things, okay?
Yeah.
But at the same time, those are the subjective things. The things that have gotten me really frustrated in the last few days in engaging with many of the Stalker fans, or people who have become Stalker fans. I don't want to say it like it's like the Stalker fanboys, like the Bethesda fanboys. It's a different fair. Kind of thing. But is they make objective statements that that are, as far as I can tell, and I keep having to asterisk caveat everything with, I've only played 40 hours.
I mean, that's a lot more than I've played so far. Yeah.
So now, remember the whole, Starfield gets good after
hours.
Yeah. There's that all over again.
Bro, well, of course.
It gets better when you get here. It gets better when you get here. So I'll start with the fact that there is basically no character, story, or lore anywhere. There are characters.
Like presented to you, the player. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Right? Like, I want to know more about you. So first of all, 90% of the NPCs will say, go talk to my boss.
Yeah, yes.
Which is worse than, actually, no, that's exactly like Starfield.
Yeah.
And they even do the thing where they like talk to you and look at you like this. The whole weird, like, that's happened a couple times. So it was like, wow, it's really, there's so many things. I'm like, wow, it's fucking like my Starfield video.
Oh, jeez.
So 90% of the NPCs just either say, go talk to my boss.
I have noticed that for sure.
Or you can say, what's new in the zone? And they don't tell you anything that is like actionable. It's like, yesterday I went and drank some vodka and then I banged my knee. You know, it's like, it's not like there's a stash.
Yeah. And I got to go find it. Yeah.
And I'm sure that there are NPCs that do that thing.
Yeah.
Right. So,
but if you talk to 100 and none of them give you anything, you're not incentivized to go talk to 100 more, hoping one of them has a side quest. Yeah.
Yep. And the same happened with the PDAs.
Yeah.
The PDAs are effectively useless in terms of giving you like flavor and lore and stuff. And they're mostly just, you pick them up, they mark a stash on your map.
Yeah.
And reading them is kind of like, there's information there, but you know, like one of them was like a shopping list.
Yeah.
It was like 2 things of vodka, 2 things of whatever. And then there was one thing that said something that probably pointed to a stash, like food and grocery supplies. And it's like, okay. But it also doesn't go like, bloop, add it, you know, Joe's secret stash added to your map, to where like now I know, because that was the thing. I didn't know what any of the PDA for the first like 10 hours.
Yeah.
I'm like, why? What is all this garbage? Do I need to hold on to any of it?
Yeah.
And people were like, oh, it marks stashes. I'm like, I don't think the game told me.
Yeah. No.
And if it did at the beginning, I was so overwhelmed with all the things that so much of it just in one ear out the other, right? When all of a sudden it's like, get the artifacts and there's emissions and there's all these things. And I'm like, what are, I know the words.
Yeah.
But I don't know what they mean, what they are.
Yeah.
You know, all the names of these fucking enemy types and all this stuff, like they never really explain fucking anything.
Yeah.
So without Twitch chat,
I will say I agree with that so far. Like in my, I would have played a lot more. I was out of town all this week. Like I literally just got back last night and I was vibing. Like last week after it came out, I was really vibing playing Tarkov or whatever for a few hours and then hopping over to playing Tarkov. So I probably played like 10 or 11 hours and I would have probably been playing all week, but I just haven't been here. But I will definitely say I agree with that. Like, if I didn't have chat, I would have not known a whole lot about like what the PDA. I was collecting all the PDAs. I didn't know if I needed to keep them or stash them, or it was like, oh, once you have it and it's marked on your stash, you can just sell it. I've asked quite a few questions.
Yeah, and I got shit from one person in chat because I was complaining about, the lore and the characters, and he had just come in when I walked up to a guy who was sitting there like, and it was just like, he said a couple things and I just went in his head and just looted him and walked away. And they were like, of course you've missed all the lore. You haven't talked to the characters.
Yeah.
And that, the thing is that what he missed was 20 hours before that.
Yeah.
Of me going up to somebody who's like, oh, help me. You help them. And then they stand up and they're like, leave me alone. I go talk to my boss. And you're like, I got nothing. There's no plus rep. There's no, I just used my meds on you.
Yep.
So I'm like not incentivized to give a fuck about anybody. So literally anytime it's just like, oh, hey, cool. So now it's just like, okay, everybody I see that doesn't look like it's a named character.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, if no one's fucking looking and I'm not in a main town, I'm just going to pop you in the head and take your bread, your water, and your 2 shotgun shells, which is what everybody has.
Yeah.
It's what every stash contains. It's what everybody has.
Yeah.
Now I'm sure there's better loot later in the game,
yeah,
right?
Of course.
After 30 or 40 hours, when you go out of your way to like explore. I see there's a boat on the edge of this dock, right? And the dock's all fucking messed up and the boat's all sunk and there's like electricity and shit floating in between. It's like, this is worth like this. There's something over there, right?
Yeah.
I think twice I went through the trouble of doing that, and it was like, oh, there's some armor. And I would say probably 30 times there was either literally nothing, unless I didn't see it, or there was like a stash with 3 shotgun shells, a Makarov ammo, and a bread, and it's There was one case of this that I thought was genius, and the game trolled me, and I'm like, you earned it. Like, but I think they unintentionally troll everywhere else when they give you almost nothing.
Yeah.
There was one that was it was called Legendary Stash. And it was like you had to climb up on like a fucking backhoe and climb up the thing, and it was just bread, one bread. And I'm like,
all right, well played. Yeah.
But when there's like a stash that gives you a little snippet of like, this hunter went here and this was his thing and he died and whatever, and then you go out of your way to go in the cave and go get the thing, and it's just the same 3 or 4 things. That's really disappointing. So these games are great for the story, characters, lore, vibe, environment, like the flavor, and or the gunplay and combat, and or weapon modding, and tinkering with stuff, and or I guess the quests are kind of a part of that. I would put them in their own category, like the quests as like interesting puzzles or interesting situations or whatever.
And then I think one more finger on the hand of what it does well, and why like Stalker specifically, is it's almost like a survival games version of a single player game. Whereas in most games, pretty quickly, you just have a bunch of weapons and you feel like you can like charge into a thing. Whereas like, unless you're going, like I found out early, like you need to be going doing stashes and stuff like that, because I kept running out of ammo and I kept running out of meds until I kind of started to pick up like where those kind of stuff was going to be. Is it felt like even for the first 10 hours of my playthrough, I wasn't just like, I couldn't just bust in with a crappy AK. It was like, there's a little bit more of that, like the world is against you, probably until you figure out where all the good guns and ammo is. Like that probably goes away, but at least in my first few hours.
Yeah. So I will say that and one quick other caveat I want to get out of the way. I recognize the developers are in Ukraine. They've seen and had to go through some shit.
Yeah.
I don't want my criticisms in any way to be like, these guys are like, it's unacceptable,
of course,
whatever. Like,
yeah.
But I'm also like, the criticisms they stand on their own.
Exactly.
Independent of geopolitical whatever.
For sure.
I paid $60 for a video game. Is it
and
worth
I don't think GSC Game World would want everybody going, you know what? It's great. You guys did great.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they put it out there probably like, come on, like, we've worked on this for so long. They don't want everybody just being like, well, we know you guys had a hard time. You know what? It's great. It's like, they probably would hate that too, you know?
Yeah. So and I have a bunch of bullet points. Maybe we can go through a few of them in a little bit. There's a lot of little mini pain points that are like super fucking just constant annoying stuff. But in my opinion, the environment, if you exclude the limited, very specifically designed, like, anomalous zones, like, did you go to the poppy field?
No. What zone is that in? Is that in like the first lesser zone or
the second? I think.
Okay.
Either.
No, not yet.
I think it's in garbage. I think is what it's called. Or
okay.
whatever.
Yeah, I made it to garbage, but I haven't done a ton of stuff in there yet.
Yeah. So maybe it's in the lesser zone. I don't know. But outside of those areas, the environment, it's PUBG. It's just empty gray buildings with nothing in them. All of it. Every building.
Where you've been so far?
Yeah. Every building it's an empty building that has this. It's got desks and shelves.
Yeah.
Almost none of which you can interact with.
Yeah.
There's no signs on any of the buildings. There's no like.
Yeah.
This isn't like an old bank. This isn't a whatever. There's just kind of. It's just generic empty stuff with the Tarkov trash on the floor, right? The broken glass.
Yeah.
Tin cans wrapped around your ankles when you're fucking walking. So it's just the whole time, and there's nothing,
Yeah.
So, and that was one of the things where people were saying there's so much environmental storytelling, and the richness of the environments is what I love. And that to me is like an objective statement that either they have convinced themselves that that's the case because they love it for whatever other reasons, the lore, the history, the whatever, right? They're fucking gaslighting me. Or I've gotten really unlucky or I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
If I've gotten really unlucky or haven't gotten there yet in 30 to 40 hours, you can't say a game has great environment
if the environment starts it in 10% of the game. Yeah.
So that was one of the things I was expecting, like incredible, but it's literally nothing. And then there's these really cool and interesting pockets.
Yeah.
Where it's like, that was neat.
Yeah.
And then it's PUBG.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's Soviet building.jpg. With Tarkov.
Yeah.
Cardboard boxes everywhere. The combat is like the weapon handling and the recoil and everything, I think is good, totally fine.
Yeah.
Like the weapons, none of them really feel bad or anything.
Yeah.
But the combat itself is like the loop of fighting enemies is very repetitive and shallow. Even the harder enemies. So did you fight any of the bloodsuckers?
Oh yeah.
So I 1v5'd.
That's crazy.
With a USP in a hallway. Bloodsuckers.
Where'd you find 5? I've only ever found one at a time.
Main quest number like 6.
Dang.
Now apparently, so here's the thing.
Yeah.
You're walking down this, nuclear underground bunker hallway.jpg, right? And you turn the corner and there's a bloodsucker.
Yeah.
Like the silhouette of a bloodsucker standing there.
Yeah.
What do you do in that situation?
Shoot at it. I mean, yeah.
Bro, you understand there's a stealth mechanic in the game, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, except the Starfield thing happened to me where I was like, I'm going to sneak for the first time ever. Swajili grenades start coming over the walls because they see you through walls and they throw grenades like Tarkov scavs.
They do. Yeah.
So after, like, I did that 2 or 3 times and I'm like, okay, so there's just, I'm not going to sneak, which is exactly what happened in Starfield.
Yeah.
So apparently you can just crouch walk past the 4 bloodsuckers.
Oh.
They're just standing there. Apparently, I want to go back and load my fucking quick save because I don't know. I don't know how that would be possible.
Yeah.
Given that like you can't sneak by a zombie.
I will say to hop on and to say you're not crazy, that every different type of enemy in the game that I experienced, like anomalous mutant enemy, obviously not person enemy, had a mechanic to it that I didn't know, that the old school Stalker fans had to tell me as if everybody knew. Like, I kept dropping my gun and it was like, oh, he telekinesis pulls the gun out of your hands. And I was like, oh, like I couldn't figure out why I kept dropping my guns, because he would do it. There was that, like, whatever. Have you fought one of those yet? The trolls that telekinesis guns out of your hands? Okay.
No, I fought a controller, but not.
Yeah, I thought it's this like big stocky little bridge troll with like a robe, like he looks like a mage. And I was like jiggle peeking him on the corner because he was super tanky. And so I'd be behind, a burr or whatever. I'd be behind the corner. So if there was like an animation or something, I didn't see it, and my gun would just get yoinked out of my hands. And I thought I was fat fingering like a command, like I was like drop
some colon tie
gun,
shit.
yeah. And they were like, oh yeah, or the poltergeist. It's so funny. I still, after 8 to 10 to 12 hours of gameplay, I don't know the poltergeist, the thing that like pick up a box and throw it at you. I don't know if you're supposed to fight them or not, because every time one pops up on my screen, 10 people say, shoot at it, you idiot. And the other 10 people say, you can't kill those, run away. And then they fight for a half hour until I clear whatever level I'm in. So I don't know if you're supposed to fight those or not.
I've killed everyone.
Okay.
Now, so that's one of those things where it's like, people would say, it's got great enemies, right? And then insert poltergeist. Now, the first time I experienced it, I'm standing there and I see a fucking box or a chair float.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, what the fuck? That's hilarious. Yeah. Right? And then after that, I realize literally the second time something floats up and I stand next to a pillar and I just sidestep and it hits the pillar and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
And then the cloud goes behind a pillar and you walk over and you shoot it and it goes around the corner behind a wall. Yeah. And then you walk over and you shoot it and it goes behind a desk and you shoot it.
And I do want to say, just to prove my point, in chat, almost back-to-back messages, you can kill them, they die pretty fast, and you can kill them, but they eat bullets. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, dude.
Yeah, so...
But literally, I was finally convinced to shoot at it, and I shot at it, and I got trolled so hard. Like, just run away, you can't kill those things. But the point is that, like, so far, a lot of the enemies, like, I don't know. You just kind of have to learn the hard way, which is fine.
You questioning things like that is another one of my gripes, in that I'm constantly asking myself, and this is the meme around, like, there are no anomalies, there are no bugs, it's just anomalies, right? Like, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. There are no bugs, just anomalies.
I'm constantly wondering, is the thing I'm experiencing, am I misinterpreting it?
Yeah.
Is it in the game intentionally there to confuse me? Is it just bad design and it's ambiguous? Or something else, right? So, like, right before the podcast started, I had entered, or before walking into a cave, it was like a big opening, and I kind of started to hear some like whisper sort of things, and then all of a sudden I'm in an opening, just a giant open field, and then all of a sudden 7 enemies around and behind me. So I'm thinking, oh, there's stupid fucking busted broken A-life whatever that's not working. Spawn them behind me as usual, and then I start fighting them, and then I realize after a while I go to loot the first one and his body like kind of disintegrates in front of me, and I'm like, oh, okay. This must be some kind of psi effect going on.
Yeah.
And then I kill another one, 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 kill another one. It's like, do I keep, is there like a boss fight?
Yeah.
Am I building up to something? Or is this just get out of this area if you want to stop? So I'm constantly left wondering, how do I interact with this situation in a way that's going to be, you know, there might have been some cool boss fight at the end, but people would defend if I would say that experience sucked for me because I was just left with, I got no loot from killing all of those things. I just spent all my money on shotgun ammo and I went through all my shotgun ammo.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I don't know if all I needed to do was kill 2 more people and then the boss comes out and I kill him and then there's like cool whatever, right? So I'm just left wondering, did I miss out on an opportunity or whatever? And people would defend it saying, well, bro, I had this is a really cool thing if you just stick with it.
Yeah.
The game's forcing me to not want to stick with it.
Yeah.
From all the other things I commit to that are like, oh, that's not a thing you can do, or that, you know, there's no. So the questioning things is like just constantly I'm wondering, is this intentional? Is it not? And every now and then, infrequently, I'm pleasantly surprised with like, oh, okay, cool, that was a thing.
Yeah.
Usually it's just not.
Yeah.
Now, and I do have a list of things that I think are good that I'll get to. So it's not all bad.
Yeah.
But so weapon modding was something that, you know, you kind of look forward to in a game like this, in my opinion, especially with all the games that have come out, right? Like they all have really good animations, really good weapon modding, decent gun. The weapon modding is at best really annoying and at worst extremely shallow. Like you get an SVD with a PSO, you can't take the PSO off.
Yeah.
But you have an AK and you can put a PSO on it and take it off.
Yeah.
And most of the time what ends up happening is there's like the named guns that are almost like kind of the unique ones that you know get from a boss, you know, or whatever, right? Like a secret stash or and it's like that some of those are cool. Yeah. And it's like there's been no motivation to mod anything other than to put a hollow sight on my HK basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. I just feel like
it's more of like an upgrade system than a modding system. Like you can go to like a tech and whatever and like upgrade them to like their wear reduces much less and stuff like that. Yeah. So that's like a helpful thing more than it is like a Tarkov. Like I want to make this gun my own and like attach a bunch of stuff on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So and I think a little bit of a missed opportunity. Like I messed with the upgrade system a bit, and it's the UI is kind of clunky and whatever. That's not that huge of a deal. Yeah. But yeah, it's just like I'm like, how do I take this thing off? How do I take, you know, like, you right click it if you want to take this thing off, and or you pull up the menu that like so many of the menus are built for fucking controllers, dude. That it's like, oh my god,
Which
the
I
radial
think
menu drives me crazy.
Me too. I think this is the first Stalker game to come to console. Correct me if I'm wrong, or at least to be engineered in its development phase for console. And you can tell with a lot of the like radial menus and stuff.
Yeah, so that's something that I think could have been a really cool. Yeah, it would have been more engaging to me if I was constantly making. But really, what happens is I buy a gun. Oh, sorry, I pick up a gun, and it's usually like yellow. Yeah, I spend an assload of money. Now they just had an update to fix the economy and a few other things. So,
I saw like a tweet. I saw them tweet today that there was a big patch, but I didn't.
Yeah, like the first quest I finished, I got like 14,000 coupons.
Oh,
and then I did another one, then I got like 4,000 coupons for like killing like 3 enemies or whatever. And so I think they fixed the economy a little bit.
Yeah.
To me, I didn't really have trouble making money. It was just boring. It was just grab the garbage and sell it. Okay. So the weapon modding, I think, could have been a cool thing that kind of just was like, okay, you know, sort of mediocre.
Yeah.
The artifact hunting was something that a lot of people said was really great, and I really liked those zones. and I found, I don't know, maybe like 10 artifacts, I want to say.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, maybe I'll get into like the artifact hunting. Now, I haven't been able to find, I guess you can upgrade the little detectors.
Yes. I don't know where yet, but yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. I'm sure I probably talked to like a trader that had one for sale.
Yep.
I just realized earlier I probably missed it before because it's like they just don't make it clear or obvious. I went to, there was a female trader, first female in the game I saw.
Nice.
She had a couple of artifacts for sale.
Oh.
But they just look like trash.
Yeah.
And I
oh, like in the in the actual screen.
Bread, vodka, a little
ball,
piece of metal, whatever. Yeah, so it's like I'm sure I probably overlooked them like 20 fucking times. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but one of the really frustrating things I experienced was one of the artifacts, it just didn't spawn, or it spawned like under the ground or something. I'm sitting there like mauling it. Chat kept saying, you know, oh, when it beeps
move
faster,
to the left.
when it beeps faster, that's when you know you're getting closer. As if like, how could I have gotten this far?
Yeah.
And not know that it goes beep, 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 beep. Oh, it must be over there. Like, what? So it got to a point where I'm fairly certain that people were just trolling, saying that.
Yeah,
it's like, of course. But it got to a point where it's like beep, 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 and then go this way, slows down.
Yeah.
This way, slows down. This way, and then somebody else went into their game, and they're like, yeah, it popped up for me right away.
Like yeah, that one just bugged for you.
So mine just wouldn't. So, but I spent like 30 minutes, dude.
Yeah,
and then I had to go on Reddit to find out that a bunch of people like, yeah, I couldn't find it. Yeah, it didn't spawn. Yeah, it's bugged. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
So that, I'm sure that was like a one-off, right? But it was another one of those things where people are like, this thing's great. And then my experience is just so different.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll go really quickly through some quick bullet points because I have a lot of really small ones.
Yeah.
I was excited to use the guitar because you can like strum up and down and change the chords and whatever. Yep. Except every time I did, the moment I did, the NPCs wouldn't shut up with dumb random fucking dialogue lines. like Starfield, they just have to talk. They have to talk. Yeah. They have to talk. And you know, you're walking down the street and you have subtitles that are popping up from random people because they have to talk and they're overlapping with each other. So like one, you go to look and read one and then it disappears and another one pops up and it's like,
yeah.
If it's going to be random side dialogue, like I don't want subtitles. Like at that point, if I'm not talking to the person, like
I see what you mean.
Like let me listen, you know, if have it be ambiance.
And I wonder if that's an A-Life thing or not, where like the amount of people that will actually come up to you and talk, or like if they're all just doing it or if that's just an oversight. I have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, so far, I haven't had anybody just come up to me and talk. Because
I meant like when like them overlapping, like them talking and not knowing someone else near is also talking and then just talking about a completely separate thing. Yeah.
But and mostly what I'm talking about is the side banter where you're walking down the road and someone's like, oh, you know, telling jokes
to no one. Yeah.
And then, you know, so I start playing the guitar, right? And then the guys are talking, and then they both get up and I'm like, sweet. So then I'm like starting to mess with it. And then another guy sits down and starts playing guitar. I'm like, fuck, I guess I'm not playing the guitar. And then I've been looking around for a fire the whole time. I haven't found one that I can like sit around.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, that was, you know, sad.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I really wanted to fucking play,
you
know, Freebird or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, and then anytime you go to play the guitar, I would stand up. I'd have to restart the game because my character would be the head would be like this, and I would run, and all you'd see is arms like this. My head was like stuck in my sternum, like looking half down.
Oh shoot!
So my player model got fucked every time I did that.
Yeah.
So don't do that. Every 30 minutes or so, I get a Tarkov stutter where it's just like.
Yeah. Yep.
It's been at a decent. I turned my settings down to medium because it was really framey right in the beginning. I'm like, just turn it to medium. And I get between 50, 60 frames. It's fine. The performance is fine.
Yeah.
That's like everyone's biggest complaint. And I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Like,
and I'm sure it'll get better.
Yeah. It's not enough to get in the way. The stutters are annoying.
Yeah.
But it's also like I can deal with a 3-second stutter twice an hour. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. But what? Yeah.
The fucking tin cans, dude. The tin cans, like for about an hour the other day, it was like I had a pair of tin cans and a string wrapped around my ankle. Just walking everywhere was just behind me the whole time. And I couldn't. I had to restart the fucking game for that. The time it takes to pull up your inventory is
I'm with
so
you there.
fucking. I want tab to be my inventory. I know you can rebind some things, and I need to.
Yeah.
The default controls are fucking Z and C for lean. Eat shit. Like that's a Geneva Convention breaking.
That
crime.
is.
But now it's like sunk cost fallacy where I've learned the dumb controls for the most part. So like now I don't want to change them because then I'm going to be like flopping around like a noob again. But I hate that I have to hit I because it's like I'm usually using my mouse hand to hit I because when I take my left hand off, it's like I don't always find WASD, if I'm reading chat whatever. Like so I just end up hitting I with my right hand, and then your character stops moving, takes out a bag, and it's like, oh my god, it's just like if I was gonna make a mod, pull up the thing instantly.
I bet there is. Same with
I'm sure there is.
map too, where you don't have to like see the PDA coming up.
One of the most annoying things on planet Earth, and it's one of the things that gets me with all of these types of games, you can't run and heal
or reload
and open your inventory and or any combination of those things. You can only do one at a time, and that ruins completely combat for me because here's what ends up happening. This is every time I go to fight the bloodsuckers, it's boom, I get knocked down, I have 30% HP, I stand up, I go, they hit me again, I don't get knocked down that time. I'm at 30% HP, I go, they like go invisible, I then stop the bleed, I then pull out my gun, they hit me, I'm not bleeding, I back up to full HP, I go,
and then during the reload, you're toast.
And then during the reload, they hit me. I'm down on the ground. I go, they go invisible. I fix the heal.
Yeah.
I then pull out the gun. I have 4 bullets left. I go to reload. They hit me. It's like, it's so boring. It's not hard. It's not challenging. It's not, the combat is easy. It's just fucking bad.
I don't understand. Like we've said this before, I've got 8,500 hours in PC gaming and 8,400 hours in Tarkov. I didn't realize how novel that was, running and reloading at the same time. But every other game I've played, like call it, I don't know if Call of Duty, there's a bunch of games, a bunch of shooter games I've played since then that don't let you sprint and reload at the same time. And I don't know why. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's worse when healing. Like a lot of those games, you auto heal, massively.
Yep.
So now it's like you have a choice. You can choose one.
Yep.
Do you want to get away? Do you want to heal? Or do you want to reload? It's a turn-based adventure.
Yeah.
Right? I'm playing Magic the fucking Gathering.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hit me. Okay. I got to get up and heal, shoot a little bit, like it's just over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
That's how I was able to fight 1v4 and then 20 seconds later, it wasn't a 1v5, it was 1v4 bloodsuckers. And then I opened a box, climbed up a ladder, and then all of a sudden, there's another one.
Yeah.
It's like,
with
a USP.
Yeah.
Because it's just get hit, and I would just kind of hop around, while the invisible things, so it's like that's one of those things where people like, it's punishing, it's hardcore, dude. The game it's unforgiving. It's like,
yeah,
that might be true in other contexts, but when it comes to combat, it's very fucking easy and shallow.
Yeah.
Usually what happens, I'm dying because of impatience, because you have 20% HP.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think they're gonna die with this next spray. So sometimes you just get impatient and you gamble.
Yeah.
And you and then they hit you and whatever.
Yeah. And I'm totally with you on that, where it's like I found the air to be other places in the game where I did feel like it was challenging. I did feel like the world was against me. I didn't feel like the hero, but when a game is like that, it gets so dangerous because that becomes an umbrella for any sticking point in the game. It's supposed to be challenging. It's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be brutal. And it's like, and obviously we're used to that conversation in Tarkov, right?
Yeah.
Just because it's supposed to be challenging doesn't mean it's supposed to be bad.
Yeah, and in this case, it's like not even challenging. It's mostly tedious. Yeah. Although I did see one fight. There's Uneventful Gaming he fought a Chimera, which I hadn't seen.
I haven't seen one in game yet.
It's just a big fucking dog with two ugly faces.
Yeah.
He died, I think, 40 times in a row. And then his only solution was to reload the game and completely avoid the entire thing, which, like, some people are like, sometimes you're just not supposed to, and it's like, sure. But, like, I almost feel like, why put the enemy there if I can't fight it and can't get away?
Yeah.
So here's what happened. The game fucking did the quick save while he was in the middle of like a swamp. And what happens is you have exactly 4 femtoseconds when it lunges at you and it hits you and it knocks you down basically every time.
Yeah.
And does 85% damage.
Yeah.
And then hits you 2 more times before you get up. You're not controlling your character while you're getting
quick time animation.
So he's just standing there like, and now he's dead, right? Like, and he can't run because he's in the swamp and the thing's faster than him.
Yeah.
And then the one time he was like, the thing was derping out, so it would go to jump, but like it wouldn't jump. And then he was able to put maybe 50 fucking shotgun rounds into him and like 2 50-round drum M4 mags. Like, he was just going off on this thing. And then an mission started, and he was infinitely far away from any cover.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things he tried was, the fucking like glass, the floaty little glass things that are impossible to see.
Yes.
So it was in the middle of like a kind of a windy storm, so there's shit floating around, right? And you have a little radiation, so there's little white dots, which is kind of a cool effect.
Yeah.
But and then you have these things that are impossible to see that render 2 feet in front of you that don't do a lot of damage, but they just make you bleed.
Yeah.
Annoyingly. So after dying 30 times in a row with being unable to do anything, he finally was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'll like put myself on the other side, like basically put this thing between, and it just jumps through, doesn't react. I don't think it took any damage. Maybe it did, but it was irrelevant because it had 1 billion HP.
Yeah.
And that just turned out to not be. So he just like, that sucks, dude.
Yeah. For enemies like that, like the bloodsuckers, that do a quick time event for you that basically stun you, where like they can knock you over and now I'm no longer going to control my character. I think like there should be a
cooldown.
There should be something like that for the enemy, where after so much damage has happened, they get staggered for a few seconds, because like that's the enemy. You like, in theory, the game design, you're like, this is the enemy I need to be like thinking the most clearly, like, ooh, it's important, which order do I do X, Y, or Z? And so there should be some sort of break to execute on a plan. But that was been my experience with the Bloodsuckers too, is it's like when he knocks you down, you have options, but it's the illusion of choice, because when you get up, you have to heal, or else you're like, I can't take one more hit of the blood from the Bloodsucker, so I have to heal. And while I'm healing, he hits me again, and you kind of get stuck in a loop before he finally runs far enough away that you can heal and pull out your gun, or heal and reload, and then you can progress the fight. So something like that I feel like there should be.
That would be more interesting. That would be engaging if it was like, because you have Dark Souls on one end here, right? Where it's like, you have to know they have these 3 things that they do.
Yeah.
They have a pattern. They telegraph in this way. You have 4 frames. Like, that's incredible design. And it's hardcore challenging. It says, fuck you, learn it or die.
Yeah.
I don't expect every game to be like Dark Souls, but like, give me a weak spot on its underbelly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Or something that's not just the like bullet sponge, because it makes the fight feel more engaging too. When an enemy does have a billion HP and you're just like cycling through your 3 guns, emptying mags into them, and there's no visible like they're hurt. It's just like eventually they fall over dead. It's like, give me a stagger. It doesn't have to be like pieces of them falling off or anything, but like a stagger to know that I've hit like some sort of threshold or something. Now,
like imagine if they like, if when they lunged at you and they knocked you down, it did like 10% damage.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to do 80%.
Yeah.
It could do 10. And or put that on a cooldown. Have 2 attacks. One that knocks me down and doesn't do a lot of damage. One that doesn't knock me down but does more damage.
Yeah.
Maybe telegraph, like the Chimera, telegraph when you're going to jump so that you can sidestep it.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I'm going to time it. And it was just like, bah! Like, well, you can't react.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You were gonna say something, I think.
No, I'm with you. And there's I'm sure you have a few more things, but there's a couple of things I want to talk about too. But before we do, I do want to take a quick break, and thank the first sponsor for the episode this week, and that is Chubbies again. It is officially outerwear season. I was in Virginia. It was actually cold. It was beautiful. Oh, it was beautiful, actually. I literally came back down and it was like 80 degrees. But for this week, for a few days, it was actually cold. And Chubbies has you covered with certified winterproof jackets, vests, sweatshirts, quarter zips, full zips, flannels, full body puffer jackets. Dude, the pants, the everyday pants. Ow, ow.
Dude, they're so comfortable.
Dude, they're so comfortable.
Stretchy, like.
They look so good. Oh, look at that, man. Baby. Oh, yeah. Dude, I was up there. And the flannel, I don't have it because it's literally in the wash. The flannel is so nice, so comfortable, so warm. It's like the perfect balance of heavy and light. Like the material feels heavy, but it doesn't feel like you're putting on like a super thick jacket. It's like what you want out of something, not like super thin and see-through. They're so incredibly soft. Even after being washed, they're incredible. And then, they sent us the everyday pant as well, which once again, good for any occasion. Casual, just going out, or you could like legitimately wear it to like a nice restaurant or like a freaking wedding or something. They look nice. Ooh.
Yeah, wear it like going hiking even. Like
yeah.
The how stretchy and breathable they are, how comfortable they are. They got a little inside the waistband. It's got like a tie.
Oh yeah, so it's like a belt, but not a belt.
It's like a belt if you don't want to wear a belt, but it's also got belt loops, but it's also got, the stretchiness, the elastic waistband. It has, I really like the pockets with you can have like the button if you want, if you don't want.
Yeah.
Like it's just a great set of pants, dude.
100%. And so Chubbies, you know them and you love them from their shorts, their summer wear, and they are like storming the winter wear market as well. Everything they make is super high quality, is extremely comfortable. And once again, they've got a ton, whatever you're looking for. Vests, jackets, sweatshirts, quarter zips, full zips, flannels. I need to get like 3 more of the flannels because I'm obviously a flannel dude. And then everything they do, there's tons of different styles. There's tons of different designs. There's tons of different colors. That's something they've always done in the past that they've continued to do as well. So for summer wear or a winter wear, you can check out Chubbies. Check out their website for the best deals of the year. For a limited time, our friends at Chubbies are giving our listeners 20% off with the promo code PODCAST20 at checkout at chubbiesshorts.com. That is 20% off your order with promo code PODCAST20. Support our show and tell them we sent you. This holiday season, give yourself and your loved ones. Chubbies, thank you so much to Chubbies for sponsoring this episode. Bada bing. Okay, so do you have a few more bullet points?
Yeah, I'll go through. I literally have 100.
Okay. Because there's
I want to hear more about your experience and whatever too. But yeah, I'll get these out of the way quickly.
Yeah, blast through them.
So many times the environment looked like it was leading me to somewhere cool. You kill like the boss or whatever, and you go around the corner, you go up a ladder, and you're like, there's going to be a stat. Oh, it's bread and 3 AI2s. It's like, okay, so it's missed opportunities galore everywhere. I'll just say for people that know about it, the poppy field could have been like 10 out of 10 experience. You're like hallucinating voices. It's this beautiful like red poppy field with like these dead bodies. It's a crazy environment. It's really cool. You're supposed to drink like an energy drink to like keep you awake because it's like putting you to sleep. And then there's these petals of flowers that float around, and if they hit you, they'll like either teleport you or basically kill you. But it was like the guy kind of warns you, like, drink the energy drinks, but they don't seem to do anything. Like, there's no, it's not like your eyes are slowly closing, and when you drink it, it's like, it's just, there are times where like I'll chug the energy drink and then instantly it'll be like, I'm like, what? So it's so close to being like great, but there's just so much like, what am I doing? What am I supposed to do? So that was, that was really close to being cool. A bunch of there's no incentives, like no rewards for killing all of the fucking mutants and whatever, so it's kind of like and they're tedious and not really that fun, and there's no reward, so it's like they either have to be fun and engaging or give me a reward, or I don't think it's, personally, subjectively, I don't think it's good game design when it's you just want to avoid all the things because it's not worth it.
I did notice that once again, not knowing Stalker, I was surprised you couldn't loot anything off any of the mutants. Like,
apparently you could in the previous games.
Oh, I wasn't expecting to loot guns, but I was expecting maybe like the heart of the frickin' bloodsucker, and I can sell that to Johnny.
That's what you used to be able to do. You could pick up fucking like zombie parts or whatever. That's another thing too, is that like I maybe this is a fucking spoiler or not. I haven't made it that far into the game, I don't think. But like all of a sudden, there's just suddenly zombies, and there's no explanation.
Oh,
I played like 10 hours after the introduction of zombies.
And
it's like, oh, okay. And they're zombies with guns, which we talked about in Tarkov. But they're also like completely sort of incompetent and like not a threat. So it's just kind of like it's an ammo sink. Which is just annoying. Like so do I spend 300 bullets to get 280 bullets in bread? Probably not. Best case, you just get back what you spent in meds and whatever. And let's see. So I'm separating out the good things. The X-ray vision and the grenades from the AI. The AI is just very it's just very fucking mid. Not impressive, Tarkov-esque in many ways, Starfield-esque in many ways. It's just like as low on the acceptable scale. It's they function.
Which I think they have addressed, which doesn't excuse the fact that they're bad, but at least like in many games in the past, there doesn't seem to be an acknowledgement that they're bad. So I guess that's something, you know what I mean? But
and then one of the last things I think I'll say, because there's just a lot of little bugs that
of course,
they're not really game, like they don't bother me. There are game breaking things. A lot of people have had to like, their main quest has been completely borked. And,
people's kind of.
I haven't experienced any of those. It's funny. People are like, I can't even play the game. It's so broken. Can't wait to play it. I'm loving it. And I haven't had performance issues or any major game-breaking bugs. Then of course my opinion's a little bit different. Every time there's like a big lead up to like a mini boss kind of thing. What ends, you're standing there face to face with a guy that's like, no, I'm gonna kill you, blah 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 blah, and it's like the end of his monologue before he goes to take out his gun, and you just go,
yeah,
because you have your gun in your hands and he doesn't, or he does and but he's gonna like run forward before, and they just one tap in the head, and it's like,
yeah,
that like it's just funny how I can just click. That was anticlimactic, which is very Starfield-esque.
Yeah.
So yeah, then the last thing I'll say, I guess, is a really, really, really fucking annoying experience. Like I wanted to stop playing the game after this. So I had no idea that there were psychic effects in the game at this point. I didn't know it existed. Right? Like, how would I know?
Yeah.
Unless the game told me or I had played it before.
Yep.
So, did you fight the fucking like psychic cat?
No, not yet. But you can.
This was like really early.
Really?
Really early in the game. All of a sudden you hear like.
Was it a side quest or main quest?
I don't know how to tell the difference. Okay. If it's not a fucking marker, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't even think it was a quest. I think I just stumbled into like a village.
Oh, just a POI. Gotcha.
Okay, yeah. So, and all of a sudden you hear the equivalent of like Swahili, and you're like, and you look over and there's nothing there, and you just kind of keep hearing that, and I'm like looking around, there's no one there, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And then now there was a village full of dudes. I killed all the guys and was like going through looting them all, trying to figure out like weight wise what I want to keep, what I want to take. It's still early. I'm still learning.
Yeah.
Do I want 30 grenades? Do I need an extra gun? And people just kept spawning and spawning and spawning, and I just was killing them. It wasn't challenging. It was just like I want to do some inventory management, some whatever. I open a door to this thing, and there's one of those like little dog, like the mutant dogs that take basically like 2 shots to kill. Yeah. Except it was a cat, and it had 800 billion HP, which wasn't clear because it's like they're mutants. They look like mutant 4-legged animals, so house animals, right? Well, apparently. Oh, okay. And while that's all happening, I get a message that pops up that says, your character, you need to rest every now and then because you get tired. Your character gets tired, so you can like rest in a bed to take care of this like it almost like exhaustion effect. I'm like, oh, I must have been like over encumbered for so long that I'm exhausted, so I gotta look around for a bed. And of course, there's a million beds, but they're not like sleepable. And I don't know that it's like at the town, there's a bed with a stash. Like I haven't learned that yet because I haven't been to enough of them to know. Well, apparently that drowsiness, so like my eyes are like constantly like, and I'm like, so I'm freaking out, like I'm gonna die because I'm gonna like die of exhaustion or whatever, right? Well, that was a psychic effect from the cat in the barn. That I hadn't killed. But the game was like, you're drowsy. You need to sleep of exhaustion because of X, Y, and Z. If it didn't tell me the pop-up, I would have maybe assumed that I was being put to sleep. It almost like tricked me into thinking.
Like the worst timing ever. Because it was an unrelated pop-up, basically, is what you're saying. Is it was just like, it's like, between 10 and 12 hours in the gameplay, play random JPEG.
No, it was like, it was related. It might have been like the first time you experienced this effect pop up the thing, and it happened to be a side effect.
And the first time you experienced it was in that encounter.
I don't really know. But so I'm falling asleep. I have like almost no ammo. I have almost no meds. I'm fighting this weird thing that it seems to have too much HP for like a dog. So I think it's broken. I'm hearing all these voices around me. Still don't understand the psychic thing that's even in the game because I don't know that like I know there's like weird physics stuff, but I don't know at this point that there's like almost supernatural shit. That's not sort of really that clear in the beginning, right? Like and maybe I'm just like dumb and it was explained somewhere that I missed and I was reading chat. I don't think.
No.
I just don't think they.
Yeah.
And then an emission came.
Oof.
And it says, get to shelter. Now, on the compass and on the map, there it marks a place, right? To like go to.
Okay.
But I already have 3 quest markers. The compass doesn't show what you're like not looking at.
Oh, yeah.
It takes 10 minutes to open up the map while you're sitting there getting attacked by random shit. You're bleeding out and you're falling asleep.
Yeah.
Right. So I go into a building. It's a building. It's a house, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I just start dying because I'm not in the right house.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't have the concrete walls or like whatever the threshold is.
Yeah.
Now, of course, that zone has been on my mini map this whole time as like a main quest marker that it just replaced one of the main quest markers and is there
to
forever.
Get to the zone. Oh,
yeah. So that's just been there forever, and it's annoying.
As
but
a
whatever.
bug since that encounter as a bug, it's just okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, but like so, the emission stuff is annoying in that way. It's because like sometimes you just like I can't physically get to the cover that would save me. In enough time.
Yeah.
And I reloaded a couple times after having gotten an emission while I'm in the swamp, while I'm fighting 2 bloodsuckers. And then like at one point, like loading it again, it didn't happen. Like it re-rolled the dice this time around and it was like there wasn't another emission for like an hour. So
interesting.
So that was a thing. It was just a really bad conglomeration of like bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm with you. I feel that. So it's so funny when you started and you were like, Stalker is no better than Starfield or whatever. I was like ready to fight. But it's funny because like I really agree. So there's like a bunch of stuff I want to go through. One, I agree with a lot of so there's like basically 2 categories of things you brought up. Bugs and like criticisms of game design. And you brought them up almost interchangeably, understandably, because on a first playthrough, a lot of times you can't distinguish, like you were saying when you were shooting the cat, you didn't know if it was bugged or if it had a bajillion HP. You know what I mean? So a lot of times they weave together to create a bad experience. Bugs are a thing, hopefully, that get fixed, whatever. But like all of the game design stuff, I agree with. And so what's funny, before we even like go into some of that stuff, do you think part of why the game design things frustrate you so much is like because of the expectation that was set on like Stalker and the universe and this is going to be like a huge big thing? Or is it just like you've played, or some combination of like you've played games that do it right, a la maybe like, I'm trying to think of the last single player game that you were like couldn't stop saying good things about, which was probably Red Dead Redemption 2, where like, is it just like you've tasted and seen, or do you think of, or some combination of the both, I guess?
Both.
Yeah.
So it's one, previously people hyped up the Stalker games and I basically said, I'm just going to wait for the second one.
Yeah.
They hyped them up. So there was, that, and then it came out and everyone that I saw, everyone was saying good things. They were complaining about the performance or whatever, but otherwise I'm having so much fun playing it. So I was thinking like, having fun playing a thing, I'm just thinking about it must have cool quests, it must have great combat, all these things, that it ended up everything on the list got pretty much ticked off, and that people kept saying these bogus, like someone said the line, but this game was a preview of what graphics are going to be. It looks like every fucking game
I think
made in the last 5
years. People just have like a weird hard-on for Unreal Engine 5, and any game made in Unreal Engine 5, they're like, this is the future. The game looks good. Like, it doesn't look bad, but it's not like,
it's not the future of graphics.
Yeah, it's not like a tech demo of what the, RTX 9090 is going to look like. Yeah. It looks
like Red Dead Redemption looked better. And like, and I
or
don't
at
expect
least as
them
good,
to, it's one of those things, like, I don't expect them to have the richness in every level of Rockstar. I don't expect that. I don't.
And that's the thing. Exactly. It's so funny. You being like comparing it to Red Dead, you're like, Red Dead looked this good, if not better. And then people are like, bro, you can't just compare it to other games. It's like, no. You were the one that said this game is supposed to look like the future of gaming. If you hadn't said that and I played Stalker, I would have been like, yeah, this game looks good. Like, I love the environments here. But when the expectation is set that this is the best looking game in all time, then I go, well, this game looked as good as this, and this game came out in 2019 or whatever. Yeah.
When all the environmental storytelling is so incredible, and I walk around, then it's like there's nothing. There's no, there's like an enemy stuck in this building, and I'm like, oh, maybe, there's so many simple things. So the biggest thing is that the biggest contributor, I think, is that there's all these amazing games.
Yeah.
That there's 800 billion fucking video essays explaining why all of these amazing things about quest design, about all this stuff, right? Lore, environmental storytelling. It's so easy to just do really simple, basic things to make things kind of amazing, right? Like, put fucking like something drawn on the wall in blood here, or you know what I mean, like little things that is. It's not hard to just put a thing you already have here to tell a story to then make this engagement really more interesting. So it's the fact that it's like handing in a C+ paper, but written on like gross sticky paper with like gum stuck to it and like tea stains. It's like, type it up. Just like, if you like type it up, put some fucking effort into it. Like, type it up. You know what I mean?
I understand what you mean. And that's one of the other things I was going to say was that like so some of the things that you had in the con column of like experiences that were maybe negative, I bet, and I'm not even saying I have to convince you of this. I bet immediately as I say this, you'll agree. If other things that were farther in the con column, a la like the UI was a little bit simpler, the health, and so all that stuff we talked about with like the bloodsuckers and like the stun attack of being knocked down. If you could move and run and heal at the same time and reload, if enemies had some sort of stagger mechanic, if all of those things, I bet some of the experiences like where the game intentionally isn't telling you what's going on and you have to figure it out would feel more fun. Because it's the same thing we talk about all the time in Tarkov, where like getting one-tapped is like a feature of the game that's supposed to be like, oh shit, like get your heart pumping, like I just died. But when you get one-tapped by like basic scavs and grenades and bosses and bugs and cheaters and players and everybody has no, it's like the thing that is supposed to be the right amount of like frustrating becomes the wrong amount of frustrating because for something to be the right amount of frustrating, you have to not be so frustrated by everything that came before it, or else it's tipping me over the edge. So some of those encounters with the cat, the psychic cat, or the poppy fields or whatever, where were encounters you maybe would have went, oh shit, I didn't realize I had to drink 3 times as many energy drinks. That's kind of cool. But because you died to a bug and then you died to this bloodsucker thing and then there were 5 of them and then the stealth mechanic didn't work. It's like and these things are highly fixable things. And if those hadn't happened all in a row, it would have been kind of okay to die to the cat 2 or 3 times before you were like, oh shit, he's poisoning my mind. Like, but when it's all together, I totally.
Yeah. So one of the things like, another thing that someone had said was how it had such great immersive environmental storytelling. And I was like, I haven't seen literally one example, not one, anywhere I've gone. And I've done a bunch of exploring. Yeah. And then they basically challenged me. They're like, okay, then what would you do? I turned to my right because I'm in a swamp and there's just a bus and the bus is like half in the swamp. And I said, imagine if inside that bus, there were a bunch of skeletons with moldy old JanSports sitting there. Rather than just an empty bus, the bus has some skeletons with some backpacks, and it's like, oh.
Yeah, you're immediately like,
now I realized, like, oh, shit, an emission or something went off here while these people were here, and they got fucking killed, and it's like, oh, wow, this is like a real living, breathing world, right? Yeah, but instead, it's empty. There's nothing anywhere. Everything's just trash and garbage and rubble placed everywhere, but with no... and that was me turning, looking at the first thing I thought of, not being a game designer and coming up with something that would like might make you pause for a moment and go, ooh, fuck.
Yeah.
You know, this was a real world where humans lived and people died, and it's a sad story that, you know, but instead it's like, I don't know. Did anybody die? Did they all just evacuate? Like, you know, whatever. I don't.
Yeah.
So,
and I'll definitely agree on I definitely agree that the game doesn't do a great job of telling you what's going on or explaining new things to you. Like I said, I very much so. It's weird because like, I think you, once again, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you're playing a character in this game that was in the original games or was in one of the original games, but they keep talking to you early on like, oh, you must be new around here, and then they explain something. And so they don't really like they have that opportunity to continue that and explain more things and it not seem crazy because I am new around here. And so I felt like that, where I was like, oh, why didn't they explain the like anomalies? Or I'm like, oh, maybe whatever. Oh, Skiff is a new character. Okay, so never mind. Maybe I ran into a character from the other game and then I mixed that up. So all the more actually proving my point that because Skiff is a new character and you're new in this world, you have the opportunity to explain a lot of those things, or like how some enemies work, or how some of the like some of those things work that I felt like didn't get explained. Like one of the things is like the factions. Coming from hearing a lot about Stalker, like that's one of the things that always like there's all these different factions and they have all sorts of different alignments and they, you know, a fight within each other. And I kept asking chat like, who is this?
Who is this? Right?
Yeah. Who is this? Is this and I would say 70% in the first 12 hours, 70% of the time the answer was they're not. They're just bandits. They're not a faction. You know what I mean? Like the amount of times I was like,
only factions have out like uniforms, and they're the same green weird jumpsuits, but one has the words on it and the other one doesn't, right?
As
like,
someone who was like trying to immerse myself into like Stalker and respect the story, the amount of times I would walk up to a thing and go, are these bad guys? Die, and then have to reload my quick save because I don't want to like, based on what I hear about what Stalker is, I don't want to play it like I play Far Cry, where I just run up and shoot everybody. I want to be like, oh, if we're cool, I don't necessarily want to piss you off yet. But the amount of times I have no indicator, so I just walk up, I die, I go, oh shit, these are bad guys, reload the quick save, and then I go in and fight. So there was a lot of that stuff, and I know it's so funny. We have to like talk about like a few things because the comments are going to be insane. Where like I already saw a bunch of people in chat where it was like, you really should watch a lore video, and it's like I think the lore in this game is great, but that can't be the answer to.
Yeah, mods and lore videos make the game great. Well, then it's not a great game.
I was going to say the same thing. And then modding being the next thing, it's like I can hold both of those things in my hand. I can say, yes, modding is going to make this game better. And maybe even to some extent, they engineered it knowing that the mod community was going to be amazing. But that's not a blanket excuse to say you can't judge the original game. And the big difference there is, you know, like games like Starfield, where once the mods started coming out and fixing a lot of the game, I feel like a lot of the community was like, you can't just have the modders do your work for you. And then when it's Stalker, which notoriously has a really great relationship with their modders, a lot of people are like, well, you just have to wait until the mods come out. It's like, I can actually agree with you and say, I do think I'm going to enjoy this a lot more when like mods and mod packs come out and different experiences come out. But that doesn't mean you can say my opinion is an invalid opinion on the shipped experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Just because later on the modding community might address some of these things, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like you can say that this game is intended and it's designed specifically for people who have read the fucking book, know the lore, and played the previous games.
Yeah.
And it's not, you're not intended to get it.
Yeah.
You know? You're not intended to understand. It's like as if it was the 5th book in the fucking series of books.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, am I expected to just jump into the 5th book in a series and I need them to explain every character? No. You know, but like, but that's not how games
and here's the thing. You actually can levy a little bit of that criticism against a game. So, tell me if this is like a base take or not. When a game with this much history makes their like big long-awaited sequel and makes like a really concerted decision to bring it to console,
it needs to be way more accessible.
It's on you to make it accessible, because console gamers haven't played Stalker games before. So it's like, if this was just Stalker 2 and it was always supposed to be like a niche game, but it blew up, and then I'm entering in the universe in Stalker 2 going, well, how come I don't know what the Green New Day faction is or whatever? It's like, oh, come on, man, go play the first game. But when you're making this big console push, it's on Game Pass, Xbox is marketing it, you're at Gamescom at the Xbox booth, it's like, and what you're trying to do is capture a new audience. And I'm not even saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying it's a great thing. You got a great world, you got great lore, you got a great story, capture a new audience. That's crazy. But then when the game is being, the first 10 hours of the experience have to be under the impression you're capturing the new audience. And I actually really love when games or movies or TV shows, any type of media, I'm not saying that the first 10 hours of Stalker should have been like straight exposition about the game. Like I've been talking about this with my friend. One of my favorite movies I've seen over the past like few years is like Dune and the two Dune movies. And then the Dune TV show came out, like the first episode of the TV show about the Bene Gesserit. And I hate it because the first Dune movie is basically 3 hours of exposition, but it's done in a way where like it lets you ask the question first. Who is that guy? Why is he here? And then it answers it. Yeah. And the first 12 and a half minutes of the pilot of the Dune show is just narration. And I'm like, I hate that, because you answered the question before I got to ask it. So I'm not saying that Stalker should have just been like 4 hours of narration about the universe, but like you're saying, it can be allow the player to go ask a question and then the game can answer that question.
Yep.
Without just like chat or some old Stalker fan being like, oh, well, that's the wiggly wop and that thing kills you if you don't stand on your left foot. And it's like, oh, okay. Like,
yeah. Like in that quest, if the guy had told me beforehand, like, oh, those I tried some kind of hint at like you could sneak by them beforehand, right? Or like about the fucking soft underbelly of the dog thing, right? Or like, like you can introduce that in ways that are cool, introduce the lore in ways that add to the experience. And in my opinion, like if like movies that have callbacks to like previous, those are things where like 60% of the audience laughs and the other 40% is like, I didn't see any of the movies. But it's like it doesn't detract from the experience. It's not like you're gonna go get Joe, not Joe, or like and then you never see Joe. It's like, so who's this fucking Joe guy, right? You gotta I don't know.
Now I will say, so like I said, when you started, I was like, man, Stalker's great. I agree with a lot of your stuff. I have been loving playing the game. And like I said on the episode last week, pull up the tape, I was like, 50% of it is because I think this is awesome, but 50% of it is because I haven't played a single player game in 7 years. Like, you know what I mean? I just like, you played Red Dead Redemption, you played a ton of games, you played Baldur's Gate, you played Starfield, and you did all this kind of stuff. Like, and I'm also just naturally more the person to like look past that stuff because I don't know. I just like,
you're less of a game critic than I consider myself. I'm not a game critic,
and 100%, and that's not a negative on either one of us. I am normally just more naturally the kind of guy that just like looks past that, spams through the lore anyway. So I can't be like, oh, the environmental storytelling is phenomenal. It's like I'm just spamming and I'm not reading the shit anyway. So it's like, so I have been having a great experience, and also once again, this isn't like Jesse flip flopping. Go back on the video. I was excited for Stalker like the day before its launch, 20% for my playthrough and 80% for 18 months from now when Stalker Gamma 2 comes out. And it's like that, like, you know what I mean? When I was playing Stalker, so like in my 12 hours, so much of my playthrough was literally thinking this map is huge. Like the gunplay feels pretty solid. I like that there's not like, there's broken guns and not everyone's got like LPVO. And I'm thinking like this, like 70 players on a map this size doing I was like, oh my God, this is going to be sick, because I've seen how well it received the experiences on the old Stalker games. And those look like they're from 2007 because they are. So I was like, yo, this game looks great. The day-night cycle is sick. And so much of it was kind of through that lens as well. I wasn't setting out to judge it as it was. And so, but even though so much of me was excited for the mods, I still think that's a crutch. And I still think you can't, if you've at any point, like, go back over the past 2 or 3 years and think to yourself, has any game come out that I didn't like? And then when the modders came and started modding it, did I say the words, oh, well, you can't rely on the modders to fix your shitty game? If you've ever said that about any game, you can't say that about this game. You know what I mean? Like, you can't flip-flop it. Like, yes, GSC Game World has had a really good development relationship with their modders. Yes, the modding community largely kept this series alive to the point where they could do that. So, yes, they knew the modding community was going to be huge, but your qualms with the game aren't things where it could be explained like, oh, well, they were going to let the modding community do the online component. No, your qualms are like, why can't I move and reload? And that's not like, well, they knew the modders were going to fix that. Like, no, that's just stupid.
Yeah, well, and it's that, and it's, I have base expectations when it comes to single player story games. Base expectations about what, like, either make it multiplayer and make it completely like, don't Call of Duty. I don't care about the lore. I don't care about anything. I just want to run and shoot things and make the mechanics great.
Yeah.
Or give me an amazing story, like, and make me fucking cry or scream or feel something or, whatever in a story. And in my opinion, it just falls flat in both places.
Yeah.
But as is always the case, you aren't wrong.
Yeah.
Having fun playing it.
For sure.
There's like, it's like watching a Marvel movie. They're bad movies, when it comes to like cinematography and film and scoring and whatever, right? Character development and, whatever, right? But they're also good movies. If you just want to go and see explosions and
enjoyed
cool
yourself,
shit.
It's a good movie, like to some extent.
So I'm not telling anybody they're wrong. I'm so glad that a lot of people can jump into the world they've been waiting for. I'm like not going to make a video on it and poo-poo on it and whatever. But just don't fucking tell me a square is a circle.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that the game is full of fantastic environmental storytelling. It's got next level futuristic fucking graphics. Don't tell me that it has. Someone said that the NPCs they all have unique, interesting dialogue. Fuck you, you're trolling me, or you were a paid bot, or you have no idea what you're talking about.
I went on a rampage on one of my playthroughs. I ran into, I think, 30 NPCs, and they all said the same thing: was go talk to the Kingpin. But I was trying to find him, and no one said any other thing other than you should go talk to the Kingpin. You should go talk to the Kingpin. You should go talk.
They all look the
same. I was
like,
"Where's the fucking Kingpin?" Like, yeah. And so I think a lot of it comes down to that. It's like, and it's understandable for like a few reasons. A, people that have been excited about this game have been excited about it for a very long time, right? Stalker came out in 2007, so they're internally hyping it up. And two, those things are such buzzwords now. I think if we said define environmental storytelling, you and I would put the same answer. I think if you lined up 20 people that are playing Stalker right now, you'd get 18 different answers because
the answers were the PDAs tell stuff. It's like that's not environment.
Exactly.
It's in the environment.
Exactly. Or a lot of people think the game looks good and looks believable. Like it looks believable as a desolate wasteland. In real life, most houses are kind of the same thing. So most houses would kind of be the same thing. And in real life, you're not like looking for what to loot in a house. So they see this world and they're walking through and maybe they got really lucky with their line where they skirt the poppy fields and then they go to this other place and then maybe they hit garbage and they see 3 or 4 different like biomes and they're like, this game looks amazing. And to that's environmental storytelling. Whereas when you and I are talking about, it's like, the environment can be good and not really be telling a story. And that's kind of what you say Stalker is. It's like, yeah, this game looks great, but where is the story of the world I'm in being told separate from PDAs or NPCs? The environment is telling me the story.
Yeah, so, and a lot of people talk about what Stalker does the best is like the vibe. And I will say that like 15% the vibe I get is like dark meets... like the fucking orb and like if 15% is like this is fucking rad. I actually feel like the cosmic horror, like all this stuff, and then 85% of it's PUBG.
Well, so and here's the thing. I will say this as well to get ahead of the comments saying it, is there is something to be said for Stalker. The original Stalker games really like pioneered this Ukrainian, Russian, post-apocalyptic setting that then exploded through Tarkov, and then you get a bunch of copycat games of Stalker, and you get a bunch of copycat games of Tarkov, and you get a bunch of this, and like I've heard a lot of people be like, I'm so tired of like Ukrainian wasteland apocalypse. And we come back to the end where it's like, and a lot of those games were asset dumps that were really empty. If you go back and play the original Stalkers, a like core, as I understand, because I've watched a lot of content of them, a core like pillar of the world is that it's pretty empty, and that when the game chooses to, create a crazy moment, it feels more crazy as a result of that. And that was an intentional design, and then a bunch of games, and then the market got saturated, and now empty worlds are like synonymous with like cheap knockoff.
Yep.
And then they make their sequel the same way they make their original. And to people who come in and don't understand Stalker go, this is a cheap UE5 asset dump. And so there's like kind of this interesting thing. Now, once again, which is why I go back to say, if all the little things were so much better in walking around the environment, like if you were not chained, you know what I mean? Like if you were not being pulled backwards, like you said, by either bugs or dying to like bullshit or AI, there may be a different experience roaming around the world and going through these empty areas where nothing is really happening, and then you hit the red forest or something crazy. I'm not saying that that's a complete excusal of the PUBG part to the world, but I'm saying it's at least a consideration to it, where we've seen that with a lot of games where the thing they became known for got copied so much that it doesn't feel new or fun anymore. And then a sequel to the original thing comes out and people think it's cheap. And it's like, oh no, that's like a weird psychological thing. I'm not saying you were saying that, but.
No. And I want to clarify too, that when I say it's like PUBG, like, so there's something to be said about dynamic range, right?
Yes.
Like sometimes silence
yeah,
sticks out more than anything when it's been loud,
yeah.
right? Like I wouldn't complain and say there's no music right now, right?
Yeah.
Like as if there needs to be music all the time. Like that's,
yeah.
It's not necessarily that. I'm fine with having these really cool, because if everything was cool all the time,
yep,
it'd be
like, then nothing. You know, if we're all super, no one is. Yeah,
you know, but if there's a single shack in the middle of a giant clearing, and I go in the shack, and there's nothing, just nothing in the house. It's like all it takes is, I'll use the fucking skeleton example, right? A skeleton, two skeletons embracing on the bed, right? Like that's an Outer Wilds thing with the fucking mother holding this baby skeleton. Like, holy fuck, they got hit with effectively like a nuke, right?
Yeah.
Like, so it's just
for sure.
When I go out of my way and I'm like, I give the game, I'm like, this is going to be worth my time.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. Then the bugs are like, this is unforgivable together.
Yes.
That makes
100%.
me mad. The other part makes me disappointed and frustrated. Then it's fucking game is terrible, dog shit, blah, blah, blah.
It's the four blocks. A game with no environmental storytelling and buggy and bad game design is a horrible game. A game with no bugs, but not that great environmental storytelling is a good game. A game with great environmental storytelling but some bugs is still a good game. And a game with no bugs and great environmental storytelling is an excellent game. You know what I mean? And so when you, exactly like you're saying, in the state it's in right now, where you go and you think like, oh, the game obviously wants me to go do this thing, and then it doesn't, and you're like, that was kind of wasting my time. And then when you turn the corner and die to some bullshit, then you're like, bro, what are we doing? Totally understandable.
So I've got a list of, and I know I don't want to like monopolize this whole thing.
No.
I have a list of like positive, good things to talk about. But I think maybe before we get into that.
Yes. Before we get into that, I do want to take a quick second and thank the second sponsor for this episode, and that is Dollar Shave Club. No matter what you're doing, whether you're trying to maintain a long beard, whether you're trying to get clean shaven, Dollar Shave Club has you covered. They've got all sorts of things. Every single thing that I've tried has been like tremendous feeling, from their like physical hardware products to their like shave butter and their lotions and that kind of stuff. They've got a few different razors, the diamond grip handle or the heavy metal handle. That their razors are really, really nice, super close shave. I don't do a whole lot, but I still kind of line up top to bottom here. What I use is their like motorized stuff, their double header electric trimmer. Great precision trimmer for all the beard stuff. You can swap out. They've got another head on there that you can do anywhere else you want to keep maintained. You know what I mean? Their nose hair trimmer, amazing. So they got you covered. It's kind of wonderful.
Yeah, the nose hair trimmer is I get more use out of that than like my toothbrush these days. It's one of the few I've had that doesn't completely like. It's not a miserable, painful experience. I haven't had a single instance where it's like, oh, you get it, an errant hair gets ripped out there, and it's nice, smooth, silky. The trimmers though are solid. Like it wasn't until we got the kit from Dollar Shave Club that I felt even remotely comfortable or confident cleaning up in between going to the barber. Yeah. Before I, didn't do any of that stuff, but it works super well, and you don't have to, you don't run into all of the issues you do with some of the other brands that you have that slice you up and leave you not looking great and in pain. So
100%. All of their I like all the different like oils and butters. They got the shave butter clear view smooth glide that it just literally just like super nice. They've got the post shave dew, all that kind of stuff feels good. And in addition to their like shaving stuff, they have all sorts of products, like personal care products like ball spray, butt wipes, deodorants, all that kind of stuff. They got you covered there as well. And Dollar Shave Club products are now available anywhere. So you can order from their website, Amazon, or get them from your favorite retailer. But don't take our word for it. Try it for yourself. You can go to their site right now for 20% off an order of $20 or more. And the more products you get, and get your products delivered right to your door. So visit dollarshaveclub.com/Pogcast and use promo code Pogcast for 20% off your order of $20 or more. Dollar Shave Club is here to help you stay handsome. Thank you so much to Dollar Shave Club for sponsoring this episode. Bada bing.
Dude, so I remember one of the first things I did, I was so excited when I saw like the God rays coming through the clouds. You see like the really nice like puddle reflection. I'm like, oh, and I walk over it. There's no reflection from your character. And you walk over the water and it doesn't even like ripple. It's just a mirror. And I'm like,
oh, I forgot even before we move on to the pros, genuinely probably the biggest thing that pulls me out, because there can be bugs or things I don't like that I can like mentally assign away and stay immersed. One that I could not abide was the flashlight.
Dude, there's something wrong with the lighting, I think. It's like interchange lighting where the flashlight like the darkness is darker than dark, like blackness.
So like the enemy AI have no flashlights. They're standing 10 feet in front of me. I have a flashlight. I can't see them and they're shooting me. I was like, I cannot abide. Literally like 4 hours into the game, I was like, modders, we need good flashlight mod stat. Because you could tell the game sets up the nighttime for you to rely on your flashlight. And then it's ass. It's like, give me a better
really flashlight and much darker around. So it's like you have to be looking to see.
That's the cosmic horror,
But instead you can see like 6 feet in front of you, and then like everything above knee level is like for some reason just like there's a miasma, like a fog or something that like takes over. And the only thing shorter than the distance that your flashlight flashes is your arm length. You're a fucking T-Rex, dude.
Yeah.
Not only that, you're a T-Rex when you have to talk to NPCs. So when it's quest time, you gotta go, hey man, you have to go nuts to butts if you want to talk to the guy. And you know what? The worst part of that is, so what ends up happening is he's not looking at you because you have to go around him, and he's not like it just makes it awkward.
Yeah.
Right? you got to get so uncomfortably like close to the guy to fucking be like, hey dog, what's up? Right.
And then I will say, I am with you. I did not understand intuitively the stealth mechanic in the game, because I remember one mission, I don't know if it was main quest or not, I got information, like I did a side thing to get information to understand that there's an alternate way to get into the compound, and if you get into the compound undetected, you save the guy's life. And so I went up industrial pipe, and as you're going up, this was like cool. As you're going up the pipe, you actually see through the window of the guy, and you hear him like crying and being like, dude, like, oh my God. And so you see him. So that's the guy you're trying to save. And I was like, okay, that's good placement. Now I go up and I go around.
Oh, around the pipe.
Yeah. And I go around the pipe, and it's pitch black. And I'm thinking, do they see my flashlight? So I leave my flashlight off, and you go around the pipes, and then you can go in the building like through a broken rubble. I go in, pitch black, gun to my head. I could not tell you if there was an enemy in the room with me or not. There were 3. They all start shooting at me. None of them have flashlights. I crouch walked in pitch black. I can't see anything. So I quick load the save, because I'm like, I really actually want to try to save this guy if I can.
They can see through walls. You think they can't see through darkness?
And so then I sneak back in the room again. I turn my flashlight on, and they don't do anything. There's 3 people, and they're talking, and I just maintain like not in line of sight, but I'm literally shining my head flashlight at them. And I walk up and I go bang, bang, bang with my suppressed pistol. And I was like, make that make sense. When it was pitch black, I was getting shot at, but when I'm shining a flashlight at their faces, because I'm behind the sewing machine or whatever, they didn't see me. And so, so once again, intuitively, after a situation like that, I'm never trying to sneak past a bloodsucker, because at this point, I don't think it exists. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's funny that you said that, because I was in like a protracted 15-minute, just guns blazing, totally, and the guy was totally fine. So I don't know what.
What, dude? I figured out where he was. They were alerted to my presence. I killed the guy that saw me. I ran past the other guys and unlocked the room, and he was dead. Like, it was less than 7 seconds between them being alerted to me and me going in the room, and he was already dead. Mm-hmm. So I thought, like, literally, if they see you at all, he dies.
Interesting. No, I didn't know that was the thing. It took me like 20 minutes to find him after killing everyone.
Yeah.
And he was just chilling.
Damn.
Yeah. And I have literally 50 more things. Some of them petty, dumb, minor things. Yeah. Some of them more like, I won't say serious, but like, less like eye rolly. But you know Richter? Richter's like the only character I know.
Okay. I'm sure I do.
He has like a weird kind of scar thing on his head.
And I know that guy.
At one point he body morphed into, not body morphed, but he just changed into a normal NPC in the middle of a conversation. His voice completely changed, and then the only way to interact with him, he's like, tell me about the, like what's going on in the zone. And he was just like, go talk to my boss. I was like, what the fuck? Like, his voice line completely changed.
Whoa.
The voice. Yeah, that was pretty funny. See, like, that doesn't bother me. That's some Bethesda ass jank.
Yeah.
I'm not mad about,
Yeah.
But on that same note, we'll get into the list of things that I thought were good.
Yeah.
Are you playing with English voiceover?
Yes.
Big mistake.
Yeah, people have been saying that next time I hop in, I need to swap it to Ukrainian.
Now, it sucks because you can't like read chat and kind of listen.
Yes.
You have to be looking at the screen. Yeah. Now, I've been very diligent because people keep saying there's lore and storytelling, and I must be missing it.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't any so far.
Yeah.
But that's the downside. But dude, the first time you encounter the dudes that just kind of like float, maybe it was a poltergeist. I don't remember now. In retrospect, but there was a guy. Oh, another one of the scenes was there was like one of the monolith dudes in the attic.
Oh yes, yes.
Remember, and the guy's on the bed.
Yes.
the monolith dude apparently basically saved him and brought him back. So the guy was like, hey man, check the attic. Hey dude, check the attic up there. And in Ukrainian, it was like, the attic. It was like every time I did a back and forth thing, it was like, oh, the guy's in pain and he's dying.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Now that's obvious because he's there in like bloody.
No, yeah, but
it's completely different emotions, completely different. And I bet you the Ukrainian guys were given like notes about like the person you're voice acting for got his arm blown off and whatever. And the English guys are just like, hey man, what's up?
Well, what happened was they had to, as I understand it, they had to recast they literally had to Control-A delete all the English voice lines because none of them were done, and they had to recast it all when they relocated, and then they had to rush to get it done. So
yeah,
because I noticed that immediately, it was like, am I in London? Because like you walk into a door, it's like, oh, what's up, stalker? And it's like, wait, where the hell are we from?
Hey, bro.
Hey, oh, stalker over here. It's like, wait.
No, I won't say the English voice acting was like terrible. It's just so much better.
Yeah.
There's like actually emotion and so that's something that I would say is worth doing. There was literally one scene where I was like hard locked and I had to load a save, but in the meantime, while I was basically waiting, like trying to figure out while people were Googling if there was a way around this problem, an NPC was pulled out a cigarette and was smoking it, and you see the cigarette, the ash like smoke down, and then he goes like this, and then he puts it back up and the ash is gone, and I was like, yo, that's dope. And of course he puts the cigarette away, pulls out another cigarette, lights it, he's just chain smoking, so it's like okay, it's a little like it's on repeat, but it was still like that's a little minor detail that I'm like,
I love that.
I love it because they don't have to, and that's the thing that I wouldn't have been like, he's smoking a cigarette and the ash isn't, I wouldn't have been mad about it.
No,
but so that's the thing, is that there's so many games that I see these little details that I'm like, it makes me so happy that like I noticed it, and it was like that they put in the effort. And I guess it's my lack of that anywhere.
Yeah.
Except for like one or two places that I'm like, it's just that's where I said like I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. Where it's like
I feel that.
It could be amazing with a little effort.
Yeah.
All you got to do is watch 4 video essays from fucking this, and then you would have 100 ideas for how to make incredible.
For sure.
It's kind of like no excuse anymore.
Yeah.
Take all the good things from all the things that people like, and then avoid the things that people hate.
Yeah.
In the game you're making.
Yeah.
And profit.
Stonks.
The fight scene, like cutscene things, are dope as fuck.
They are.
Those are super cool.
Yep.
Mega cool. It's almost like I would rather it be a fucking point and click adventure with these cutscenes in between than literally what it is.
Yeah.
The weather and the lightning I think is great. It's really cool. Yeah. I wish that the emissions were like more frequent, but less damaging.
Yeah.
And lasted not as long.
Yeah.
It's like once every 4 hours, I'm inconvenienced, and there's nothing. I wish it was like something I could do, like harness the energy to do it. Like, let me do something while I'm waiting, not just sit in the bunker and look at the orange sky that I can't.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, these are sick. So let me like engage with them in some way. If there's like a specific suit that you can get where like you can go out for like a very specific amount of time and maybe anomaly hunt out there, and they're like supercharged anomalies or something like that. Or artifacts, I should say. But yeah, I was saying that like they're cool for sure, but you just kind of end up being like, okay, I'm just chilling here. Yeah.
Now I've been struck by lightning 3 times, so that should show you how like unlucky I guess I have been.
That is
but
crazy.
actually I love that. I love the random fucking like lightning all over the place. Like I love that. One of the NPCs got hit, which is fucking hilarious.
Bro, did you see the clip Clean tweeted?
No.
He was around the campfire and he was playing the guitar. And there was like 4 dudes, and literally just lightning kills one of them, and nobody reacts, including him. He just keeps playing the guitar. I was like, oh, geez.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the audio is, other than a couple of audio annoyances where like the combat music First of all, the combat music, I know you can turn it off.
Yeah.
But it also, like, when you're fighting all these things and all of a sudden it's like you're like, oh, there's no more enemies.
Yes. Yeah.
Except the one time there's one more enemy. It's like, why did the combat music stop?
Yep.
And then there were a bunch of times where it'd be like
I've had that happen
in the middle of a gunfight, and it's like,
yep.
And then it would cut back in and then cut out and cut back in, and there's some like weird radio comms where suddenly it'd be like, I'm on the radio, and all of a sudden, you hear me talking completely normally inside of you, and then all of a sudden, where it's like he's behind me.
Yeah.
Again, those are things that, like, I don't even really subtract points from the score.
And outside of that, the audio is pretty great. Outside of those,
dude, it has fantastic positional audio.
Yep.
Like during that the poppy field thing.
Oh yeah.
It's like, you see, because it moves the pedals, and like the wind kind of moves in this weird amorphous way where you kind of like, it goes like this, and I'm like, I just turn and run, and you kind of don't want to turn around. Like it was one of the few times where I actually felt urgency.
Yeah.
But I could hear it like behind me appropriately. Like there were times where it would like kind of turn and sort of follow, or times where it didn't. And it was like, it actually gave me context. The spatial audio was great.
Yeah.
The sound design is fantastic. They knocked it out of the park. And like, here's the thing with the lighting and the audio, these are things that like they're almost like, you get them basically for free from the game engine. So like no game has an excuse for not having like great lighting and great audio at this point.
Yeah.
So
yep.
Sort of like a thing that you get for fucking basically free.
Yeah.
Nobody should be putting out games with Tarkov, audio.
Yeah.
And I think that's it for positives.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Once again, like, I'm still super excited about the future of the game and how it can be expanded. Like, it's been almost 20 years since the first game came out, and there's like a huge audience of people that still play Gamma, that still play Anomaly, that still play these things. And so I'm so excited for like the new foundation for like proper mod packs. Like I haven't really delved down like, oh, get this mod that fixes this one thing. I know there's guys that curate experiences, some that just will fix the main game to make it so much better, and some that obviously do their own things like full mod packs. So I'm super excited, but overall, ultimately, man, I think I agree with a lot of the major criticisms from a like game design perspective and some of the things that they could have done. I was I don't know, but I've been enjoying it. I also think it's just like I'm in a place where I am in my life is like not Tarkov equals fun. So that's going for me. I had that going for it. It's like booting up,
and trust me,
not Escape from Tarkov.exe.
Yeah, like it gets 10 points for not Tarkov.
Yes,
it gets points for,
and you've been not Tarkov for like 2 years. So yeah,
and I've played some amazing gems, life-changing, incredible experiences, as well as life-changingly bad experiences. And I pay attention. Like some people can watch a Marvel movie and not look at it from a every frame a painting lens, right?
Yeah. For sure.
I'm to the point now where I'm just an old fucking boomer, and I gotta look at all these details because I'm just so jaded in that I've had too many incredible experiences that they didn't take $100 million to make the experience. It took one person with a clever idea and 10 minutes of programming to make an incredible experience. So now it's almost like this is one of those things, like it's an impossible standard to hold all games to. Actually, no, sorry. It's not that it's an impossible standard. It's actually extremely achievable thing that I know most games won't have. which is why it's almost like an impossible it's crazy for me to expect this because not because it's difficult for them to meet these standards, but because they just won't.
Yeah.
And that's...
I feel the same way about a lot of things. Like I talk about that to my wife all the time about like movies. My wife, movies and TV shows is like, so I think I understand what you're saying, where it's like, I don't expect every movie I watch to be Dune, right? $800 million budget, you know, the most insane source material of all time, a critically acclaimed director. But what people don't understand is that money and that budget and that director oftentimes boils down to a few people making pretty common, not unattainable choices to respect the character, to respect the dialogue, to respect the story. And that makes it feel. And so when I'm like, I don't like that this show does X, Y, or Z, you know, the knee-jerk reaction is be like, not every movie can be freaking Dune. Not every show can be Game of Thrones. But it's like, but what you don't understand is what I like about those things are very attainable things. It's just like, if like, you know what I mean? Not having the character look into the camera and say the big plot point of the movie, like, oh my God, the heart of the devil is gone. Now's our time to strike. It's like, you didn't need Denis Villeneuve and $800 million to not put that line in the movie. So it's like,
exactly.
Just because I say I really like this thing and this thing costs a lot of money to make doesn't mean that what I liked about it was its CGI. And so like, I have that conversation all the time where it's like, not every game needs to be GTA 6, $1 billion, you know, perfect visuals, perfect everything. Some of your favorite games of all time have horrible visuals or dated visuals, not necessarily horrible, but like not photorealistic visuals or X, Y, or Z. It's not this perfect open world, but like, so I definitely like agree with that, but that's a hard sell because it always looks like it's like, oh, how can you expect this game with all these things to just have all that thing as well? And it's like, that's not really what I'm talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's impossible to explain to somebody who's only ever seen Marvel movies and hasn't seen a insert fantastic movie here.
Exactly.
I'm not going to try to think of one at the moment. You know, like every movie, you don't need Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and Hans Zimmer to make an amazing movie.
Yeah.
But like, you know, I just point to fucking Outer Wilds. Every turn I had an experience that was so fantastic.
Yeah.
And it was a fucking college project.
Yeah.
Made by a few people, and it's care and thought and creativity and attention to detail. That doesn't cost money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's just like being a fucking artist, you know, like
I'm with you.
So
yeah. And so in a lot of ways, like I think Stalker does that. And in a lot of ways, I think it fell short, and I've been enjoying my playthrough so far, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here. So yeah, well, it's interesting stuff. Did you see kind of separate gaming thing? And the reason why I want to bring it up is because we talked about how like cool and amazing the lighting in the atmosphere is at night, and how it's almost completely kneecapped by the flashlight, because I feel like I immediately can't engage with the cool and amazing atmospheric nighttime in Stalker because I can't see anything. Gray Zone Warfare had their launched their update, which is their night ops. The big thing they added was like a day-night cycle, flashlights, NVGs, IR lights, and stuff like that.
Yep.
My overall opinion on Gray Zone and this update is that everything in the update was cool, and it's a stepping stone toward them completing the game. If you hated Gray Zone or fell off of Gray Zone because of the issues, I don't think this update is like the Jesus patch. But if you've been enjoying the game and are excited about its future, I would say obviously check it out. But it's, in my opinion, maybe the best nighttime experience ever. They nailed it, bro. This is like a UE tech demo for what nighttime should be. Like,
hell yeah, dude.
They dialed in perfectly the, like, if you're out in a rice field, it's pretty bright, as dark as it's gonna get. Like, what this is so interesting. One of the most common things I got was nighttime's not dark enough. And then we just go, watch this. And then you walk into the jungle and it's gone. Like, there's nothing. You can't see anything. And so it actually feels really good.
And that makes sense.
Yes. If I'm out in a rice paddy, there's going to be reflections off the water, and there's going to be like the moonlight and starlight. There's not a lot of light pollution. And then you go into the jungle and you can't see anything. The flashlights in that game, Veritas, it's the best flashlights I've ever seen in a video game. They are so good. And then, of course, me and Airing immediately was like, turn around and look at me and shine your flashlight at me. And like in pitch black, when you shine your flashlight, it's like blinding basically from like your chest up, but I can still see the silhouette of your feet. If we were like in a city, if we're like in the jungle, I can't see anything. They have the lighting of, we did a bunch of this where I was like, okay, stand, sit X amount of distance away. And I literally couldn't see him, pitch black. I was like, turn your night vision on. And you see the subtle glow from the night vision tubes on his face. And it's like super subtle. We were walking. I didn't have a flashlight. I only had a laser. And we were walking through the jungle with my laser. And as the end of the laser interacts with plants and grass, it very subtly illuminates. Because when it hits, it's reflecting off. And so like the very subtle red or gray illumination at one point, freaking Aaron was way out in the distance, like dark in the jungle. He clicks his light on. Like it, once again, this isn't gameplay. This isn't like, oh, there's now 80 hours more content. But
no, but that's just vibe. It's
the
experience.
Best nighttime I've ever seen, dude. It looks so good. And you can have a flashlight and a laser, separate things. And you just hold T and scroll wheel. And it's hard to explain, but it's very intuitive, where with a scroll wheel and like hitting T, you can toggle each of them how you want. So I can say flashlight be regular flashlight, laser be IR laser. I can have them both be IR. In Tarkov, like, you know how once they're on, it's just T.
Tap, tap,
and they
tap,
cycle.
tap, shift,
and
tap,
so
tap,
you have to take one off, cycle it to laser, then put the flashlight back on, and then now it can be the setup you want. It's just like this scroll wheel. It's super intuitive on how you can just like set it all up. The NVGs themselves are really controversial because they went uber realism with the NVGs and like not being able to see your optic very well at all. And like like when you have some of the NVGs on, there's like no depth of field. Like depth perception.
Like, but if it's really dark enough, then you can't see without it and whatever, then that's perfect because there's a plus minus.
Exactly. We didn't get into any PvP with them for me to be able to tell, but like I respect it. Like it's super vibey. If the more you get shot, they'll get like damaged. Like very convincing. Like I actually thought there was like a hair on my monitor or like a crack. Very convincing that's cracks and like dust and dirt will start to form on your NVGs. So they knocked it out of the park. Once again, that doesn't make me want to go sink a 200 hours more, but it makes me excited about the future of the game. And once again, I've never seen just flashlights work better. Daytime, nighttime. It was great for clearing buildings in broad daylight when you hop into a building that doesn't have any lighting and you turn like. The flashlights were great at helping you see in windows, like broad daylight. The windows kind of reflect a lot of light, and you turn your flashlight on, and you've got a more powerful light source. Now you can see in the building a lot more.
Yeah,
it's like
it doesn't just like turn white, so you can't see anything.
Dude,
like
the vibes were sick. They still definitely got to nail down the AI. That was the thing. Was that like we were like going and finding these hidden camps. And the AI with no flashlight or lasers were just like one-tapping us. And it's like, okay, well, the point is I've got all this equipment. I should be the one that sees, not you. You know what I mean? So
yeah, they should be spraying random bullets into the darkness. Scared.
Yeah.
Actually reminds me, one more plus actually from Stalker.
Yeah.
Was I really liked, this is something that I wanted from Tarkov forever, and Tarkov never had it, is when you're indoors and then you walk outside in the bright daylight, your eyes take a second to like adjust. They turned it to fucking 13.
Yeah.
It needs to be cranked down, but I love that it's like for a moment it's like bright and blown out, and then your fucking pupils adjust.
Exactly.
You know, like I really like that. And conversely, going inside, it's like dark and then kind of gets
and that
a little,
allows them to have dark settings where you can actually still see. And that's the problem with Tarkov is it's all like, it seems all baked. So like you go into dorms and it's like they're just turning a brightness slider up. We saw that with Interchange. You remember that? Everyone's like, Interchange is too dark, and they have one knob, so they turned it up, and outside was like, what the hell? And so
I have to like turn on my post effects and then turn them off when I go in.
Yeah, exactly. So I definitely saw that too, where I love the eye adjustment period where you walk outside after being in a dark place. It's cool.
Oh my God, bro. We were talking real quick. We were talking about fucking Kai Sinat or Sinat or whatever. Dude, it was so funny because you know, I was basically saying that like all I see are crazy wild clips of, you know what, and then the other day I pull up Twitter, and for some reason the first three things are someone in the background doing cocaine.
Yeah, he has some of that is getting out of control.
And then a fucking nip slip, and then a magician comes on.
Yeah.
Accidentally hangs himself. No one knows that it's like a bit or a prank or whatever, and then they hold this other dude like hostage. I'm like, all I was thinking was like, Jesse, what are you?
Yeah, I think I just can see it on that.
Like it's just like, and maybe none of that's scripted. Maybe like he has producers in charge of his show that are like, maybe he's surprised by these things or something. But it's like
he actually does have producers that are in charge of the subathon that like help him do stuff. But no, this week hasn't been this week has not been in favor of what I was arguing in that conversation.
Now, I also think that the skeptic in me was looking at the one with the girl doing cocaine in the background, and I'm like, it was like a picture-in-picture. I'm like, it could very well just have been fake, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, but the hanging thing and like the nip slip and the whatever, like, okay, those aren't.
Yeah.
But oh fucking God,
he's doing the subathon, and he's definitely out of control there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is funny. Well, that is the stuff. That is the gaming news. Sorry for the well, I mean, I guess if you're listening to this, you would have no idea that this didn't come out at the normal time. But Thursday was Thanksgiving. I was also out of town all week. Happy Thanksgiving if you're here in the States. I hope you had a great Thursday. If you didn't celebrate Thanksgiving, but
I'm about to go to my dad's house.
Yeah, I was about to say you're about ready to go. Yeah, brother, eat delicious foods. And thank you guys for hanging once again. And as always, you can get even more content by going to patreon.com/thepodcastpod. Get early ad-free access to these episodes, an additional episode every week we do just for the patrons over there, and it really gets wild and crazy. So thank you for the support. Thank you for being here, and we will definitely see you on the next one.
Always bring a towel.